Good evening, everyone. My name is Yap Chin, and I will be your host for tonight. On behalf of the JPO family, we'd like to extend a warm welcome to everyone tuning in for tonight's broadcast. We hope that everyone is doing well and staying safe indoors. A friendly reminder to maintain good hygiene at all times and maintain social distancing when heading out. As we like to continue improving your experience with us, please help us achieve these by completing the poll that will be published during the broadcast. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the Q&A section down below. To anyone who is interested in sharing tonight's broadcast, a live feed will be shared on the JPO Facebook page, and a recording of the webinar will also be uploaded on the page. Tonight's seminar features Mr. To, with his topic being the accidental conductor. As our JPO family attendees are mostly students ranging from primary school to college, their parents and their teachers, the sharing of knowledge and advice you have for all of us is invaluable and greatly appreciated. Now, on to Mr. To's biography. Starting out essentially as a self-taught musician, former physics teacher Sheng completed 2 master's degrees in choral, conducting, and voice from the USA. Having won numerous Grand Prix, category champions, jury prizes, and some 80 gold awards, To has since come to be recognized as an eminent conductor and music educator. To is active in international choral scene and sought after as an educator, clinician, and guest conductor. Perhaps the most awarded Singaporean choral conductor with 7 conductors prizes in Europe, he has been invited to many European and Asian countries. With Raffles Singers, he proudly presented 2 concerts at the 11th World Symposium on Choral Music in Barcelona, and recently won double Grand Prix in Austria and Slovakia. At home in Singapore, To's choirs have twice won the Best Choir of the Year award in consecutive years. Among many other notable appointments, he conducted an 800-strong National Day Parade combined choir. His works as a chorus master for Mahler Symphony No. 2 and Beethoven Symphony No. 9 has won him raved reviews by Straits Times. In recognition of his artistic achievement in the music arena, To was conferred the Young Artist Award by the National Arts Council and the honorary member of the Choral Directors Association of Singapore. Since 2014, he has been serving as the artistic director of International Choral Festival Oriental Concertos held in Singapore. His self-titled biography, The Accidental Conductor, was published in 2010, and the choral series under his name with the Earth Songs Music Publication, USA, was launched in 2002. Now let us welcome Sheng. Hello, Sheng. Are you there?
Hi.
Yes, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on this program.
We're very honored to have you as our guest,
you.
actually. Yes. So could you tell us about the video that we have just watched at the beginning?
The very first song is a Latvian folk song arranged by Laura Jakobsone. The title is translated as Two Doves Bolted into the Blue. So it's about the story of two brothers sent off to war, dying and being reaped by the mythical sons of God to be laid to rest. So you'll hear a very dramatic cry in the middle of the songs where the choir moves. It's kind of a war scene. And the choir was split into four parts, four choirs of four parts. So it split into 16 parts. So we were very privileged to premiere this in Singapore 2 years ago. And yeah, very excited about such wonderful music. It still stirred my heart when I watch it. And of course, the second song is, it doesn't require any introduction. Rasa Sayang, everyone in the region knows it, and everyone claims that it is our folk song. Well, any country that speaks Malay, I think we kind of share the same root of Rasa Sayang. So I arranged this in about 2010. Maybe slightly earlier, because I was hosting a Latvian boys choir and we had to sing each other's folk song in a concert. So that was in desperation I came up with that.
I see. About the first piece, the myth, was it a Singaporean mythology or where was it
The
from?
first song is from Latvia.
Oh,
Latvia, yeah.
I see. Okay, thank you. So you call yourself the accidental conductor in the autobiography published in 2008. Could you share more about the wonderful accident?
Okay, this is a little long story. So I will get the help of some PowerPoint, some photos to
Sure.
so that it will help in us. I will share screen now. Did you get to see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, well, this book was launched in 2008 and at the heel of winning the Young Artist Award 2006, publisher heard about my story and they knew that, someone without the music background from young can come this far, and he wanted me to, write a story about myself to encourage young people. So maybe it'll be great for your orchestra people to read as well. So, yeah. So this was my dream, being a full-time conductor in the early 2000s. And I grew up as a child in Malaysia. And yes, in Kuala Lumpur. I was a third generation of Chinese immigrant in Malaysia. And so in my simple family, there was no piano and there was no music lessons during my time. But I was surrounded by singing always. My grandma loves to sing. He sang folk songs. My mom would sing in the toilet, in the bathroom, and my dad will blast music. You will see the cassette player at the back. And the music is really like, it's for sheer enjoyment. It is not just background music. So I grew up with lots of music, but there's no formal training. The only formal training I think I would accord myself was the solfege that I acquired in primary school music lessons.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, my music teacher used to teach me do, re, mi, and then we sang everything to do, re, mi. So that was the only music education that I had at that point in time. And I absolutely loved operas and bel canto singing. And I think the sheer beauty of the sound, the power and the agility of the voice really stirred in my heart something very, very magical. And so since young, I have been singing, surrounded by singing. I sang in primary school, I sang in secondary school, and won some prizes from interclass to interschool to eventually interstate competitions. Yeah, so this is me picking up a guitar at my young age, and it's just kind of figuring it out, always singing, competing, singing with friends, singing in church. And I'll be doing music for hours on end. And I will hold the guitar, sit on my bed. I try to read a music book from cover to cover, struggle it through. And so this is my passion from young. And I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be an opera singer. So my dream is to pursue music in the university. So I remember sitting in front of my parents, in the living room in my old house, and I told my parents in all seriousness, I want to do music in the United States of America. And I remember my mom stared squarely into me and said, then you come back and eat what? So this is really, really the old generation, and they're so music career is so foreign to them. They didn't
Yes.
we didn't have the opportunity to do that formally. So I said, never mind, I will go to Taiwan. I applied to Taiwan. I got into a university to do triple E engineering. And I said that will be a stepping stone, for me to go to USA. And so that was all my plan. But there was divine intervention. I came to Singapore. So these were my late parents. And I finished Bachelor of Science in Physics. And I didn't play piano. This is just me posing at the piano. But this is a piano that accompanied me throughout my university. So at night when I'm so sick of studying, I'll go and bang at the piano. So, and
I'm
of course,
sorry.
each year, I struggled. Why physics? Why not music? Because music was really burning in my heart. I really, really love to do music full time. Yeah. Sorry, your question.
Yes, I'm very curious. Did you learn the piano?
No, I didn't.
So
That was,
you never
yeah.
learned the piano.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I see.
never had the chance to have any formal training.
I see.
And yeah, so this is the story up to the university. So I graduated and I became a physics teacher for 3 years. And these were my form classes. And, and during the secondary school teaching, I was also fortunate to be conducting and directing musical. And, we were really elaborate, all your imagination run wild, you had dance, you have choreography, and you had, you arrange orchestra work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the fortunate thing was after 3 years in teaching, I was transferred to a department in the Ministry of Education where I was doing music full time. I was looking into the choral standard of Singapore, and eventually in 1999, I think my choir, this was the first time my choir won the Best Choir of the Year for
Wow.
junior college category. And then 2000, my primary school choir won again. And it was a very big affirmation to pursuing music because
Yes.
I had no music background, up to
Yeah.
then. And the best thing was, with this little accolade, I was awarded bursary and scholarship to do my master's in music.
Wow.
And so I flew to US. So I graduated in master in conducting and master in voice. So this was my final solo recital, and I also became a daddy to an American baby. So I came back in 2003 and I started traveling internationally with many of my choirs. So went to Germany, went to Finland, went to Czech Republic, Poland, Lithuania, you can think of Austria. So they
Yeah.
were really fortunate, and of course now we can't travel during COVID, but during those times we would be traveling. Every year I'll be bringing choirs to Europe for competition. And so shortly after 2006, I was awarded Young Artist Award. And again, it was a very big affirmation for a late beginner of musical pursuit. And so a publisher heard about my story with no music background and how I drop everything and go and pursue music, and wanted me to write a book about my journey to encourage young people. And I rejected the idea a few times because, who wants to read such story, right? Unless you have scandal, you have,
Yeah.
you have drama. So it really took a long time for me to write, and I dug into my past, my childhood, the struggles, things that I've forgotten, And so yeah, to encourage the young and also to take stock of my life up to that. So I wrote the book after 2 years. Yeah, 2008 the book was launched. Yeah, so this is a little story of how I came about to writing the book. Why I call myself accidental conductor, because I never really dream of being a conductor. I dream
Oh.
of being a singer, singing in opera, singing all sorts of things. I love singing. I think the singing voice has something very, very magical on me. And so choral conducting is not very far because they are all singers
Yes.
making music together, but it's very different ball game altogether. Singing solo and singing in the choir is all very different. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you have lived more than half of your life in Singapore and represented Singapore in so many ways. Let us listen to the world premiere of Singlish flavored
Singlish song.
Yeah, Wait for You by Benjamin Lowe.
Don't expect the world to wait for you. It was great fun. Benjamin is a talented composer who has
Yeah,
sung with me for 6 years in school. And
I
he's
see.
graduated from the Boston University and now teaching music in school. And so, yeah, we commissioned him to write a song, and he's chosen a Singlish flavor,
Yeah.
a poem by Dr. Gwili Sui. So the character of Singlish is rather staccato, vowels
Yeah.
generally equally long or equally short. Yeah, the inflection of tone is narrow, like do re mi. Where are you going? Yeah, that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of thing. Yeah, so it's short, very even, and very choppy. So performing it we consciously steered it away from classical phrasing and agogic
Yeah.
accents, or we call it syllabic stress, like a long, short vowel. We're trying to sing, don't expect to wait for me. And obviously, I think it sounded really fun and quirky.
Yeah.
But I also love the message by Dr. Gwili Sui, and that we should not miss out on living between the ticks. And I
Yeah.
love the last part where he talked about stay still, because under every footprint is an everlasting kingdom where the mind is clean and eyes are new, where all the stuff you lost has never left. So it's really very profound. In Singapore, the pace of life is very quick. We're running around,
Yeah.
very competitive. But at the end of the day, maybe a lot of things didn't matter. So it's really cool.
I
Yeah.
see. I see. Okay. So how is this work different from the music you perform? What
Yeah.
are the challenges?
So yeah, like I said, it's very non-classical phrasing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the syllabic stress, and I think Benjamin did a great job. If you can hear, there was chaos, there was competition, and people are trying to rush,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, so that was really difficult in capturing because we always do it. We always do most of our music in a very classical way, phrasing. There's a clear climax, and so with this piece, it was consciously trying to break away from that mold, trying to not let people hear that's a classical way of approaching music. So instead of starting soft, we tend to start loud.
Uh,
Yeah, you don't have the onset of sound so much, but everything is just opposite. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Thank you. So
Yeah.
let us watch another clip of your boys choir singing Christmas Lullaby by Dan
Ah,
Forrest.
Dan Forrest,
Yeah,
yes.
performed by Ruffles Voices. Yes, okay. It's a very nice piece. Where was this performed?
This was performed in Poland. And yeah, it comes back.
Oh, it's okay.
It's a very beautiful Baroque church that we get to perform in, and this is winter. It's a funny story. It was one of the most memorable trips with my choir. Why is it so? Because we landed in Poland with everything white, blanketed with snow. This is this is the only trip where from day 1 to day 12, 13, it's all white. And imagine flying from 30 degrees Celsius and then we'll plunge into sub-zero, negative 17 degrees Celsius. And the great shock to our system, our high voices all plunged by 2-3 semitones. So our repertoires were really on shaky grounds. We spent 3 days rebalancing, reimagining what each singer could sing before we competed. We got gold awards, but it wasn't our best. But thankfully, the next week we were competing in Lithuania, and where we acclimatized and we could sing as normally. So we won Grand Prix in the second competition. Well, expressiveness was never natural or easy for adolescent boys. And these were boys from 13 to 16 years old. And in our weekly practices, we worked on physical pulsing in our body, because I believe that we need to feel the tactile in our body, the pulse. So the tactile approach for my choirs that I've developed, we keep pulses, we make them move as they study the music. So it requires a lot of discipline and takes time to work it out. And we also use physical movement to solve vocal issues, especially in the high notes, because amateur singers tend to crane and stretch the neck when they sing high notes. And it becomes even more challenging. So I use physical movement to solve it. And I also advocate breathing with expression, and that helps open up the sound quite a bit. So that's how I get them to be more expressive.
I see. I'm just wondering, like, because the boys are aged between 13 to 16, right? Yeah, they are at the stage where they change voices, isn't it? Yeah, so how do you...
That's really a nightmare, because Cambiata, I mean, they're a little older than, say, you imagine Vienna Boys Choir. They start at 7, 8 years old, but in secondary school they start at 13. So it's actually quite late. By the time they acquire techniques, probably 1 year later, the sound is very different from Vienna Boys Choir. And we don't know how long they will sing. Some can sing all the way to 16. Some sing a few months, their voice crack, and And the scariest thing is when you have solo. Who come to you 2 weeks or 1 week before the performance and say, Mr. To, I can't sing high note anymore. And then you always have to, have second, always have second scenario plan. What if this happens,
I see. Do you have like a backup singer or?
Yeah, we always train multiple solos. But they're also very sensitive, because some people feel like they train but they never get to perform. So in the training process, I actually don't tell them who gets to perform at the end of the day.
I see. Okay, so just a reminder to all our viewers and listeners, please feel free to ask Mr. To any questions, just any questions if you would like to ask. So he will be very happy to answer you live later during the Q&A session. Okay, let's move on to another video. Irritations by Jonas Tamulionis, performed by Raffle Singers, the adults.
Oh, there's no sound again.
Yes. Sorry, there's a technical problem. Shall we try that again? Hold on.
Leon, are you able to make the sound come on?
I think there's a problem on his side.
So maybe we'll come back to this. We move on to something else.
Yes, okay. Um, okay. So what are the things you look for in a choir and what makes a good choir?
Right. Of course, everyone wants to have beautiful voices in the
Yes.
singers, and we want intelligent singers. But more importantly for me, is to have singers with good attitude, open mind to new ideas, and the flexibility to deliver the ideas. The power of choral singing for me is in unity. So no matter how soft you sing, if it's absolutely united, it is still very powerful. So therefore, the discipline is the most important. Some acquire discipline through years of training, performing and internalization. For example, choirs in Sweden, if they come from choir schools, they've been singing from the young age all the way.
Sorry. Sorry.
Leon, are you able to settle the sound? He's not able to hear me, is it?
He is, but I
Okay.
think, yeah.
So I shall continue with that question. I think the
Yes,
power of choral singing is in unity. And some people they acquire discipline through years of training, performing, and internalization. For example, Swedish choir, and they have sung from a pyramid, structure from a young age all the way up. And I visited the top 3 community choirs in Stockholm. Oh my goodness, they can already cut CD anytime and beat many CDs out there. And they are still practicing. So for perhaps choirs do not have that kind of pyramid system who sing through many years, going up to the top. We need discipline to overcome our shortcomings. Either vocal, either musical understanding, or that. So absolutely, doing it absolutely in terms of pitch, rhythm, volume, vowels, and phrasing, it will definitely be excellent. And if we have the X factor with emotion, it will be magical. Yeah. So I think for me, music has to be in a realm. There was a famous European conductor who say she's always looking for the white zone, the zone where everything is just so glaringly good. Yeah, and I think that's probably how heavenly music sound like. When everything is so together and so glorious.
I see. Okay, shall we play back the video? Yeah. Let's hope this works. The interpretation of this piece must have won you the Grand Prix in Salzburg. So it is very different from all the other online that I can find. Yeah, what do you focus on in the music making?
All right. The title of the song is called Irritations by Jonas Stamulionis, a Lithuanian composer. And so that was the peak or the highlights of the music. How do you create chaos to irritate the conductor at the end of the performance? And yet you have all these deliverables, you know, like sound, expression, interpretation, rhythm. How do you keep all this together while creating a chaos? So it's almost like a Broadway musical. They always talk about organized mass, you know. So that was the big thing, the big challenge that I wanted to capture. So a lot of choirs do it very together in everything, choreography and all that. But I like to create this constant flux of chaos, and yet you hear that the sound is constant there. So that was the greatest challenge. And every group is different, of course, you know, the personality is different. And so I'm really grateful because I have soloists or I have singers who can get into the ideals that I was communicating with them, the ideas, what I think the composer is trying to achieve. And so you have this great suspense at the end. And so we were having great fun. I think it was just a moment where everything kind of fall into place. Yeah.
Yes, I love the piece too. Okay, as you may have heard, the Jesselton Philharmonic Orchestra has involved itself in a variety of activities. On behalf of the JPO, we would like to ask your views on the JPO and its activities. Additionally, how would you suggest the JPO and its members further improve itself?
Well, I think you have done a great job, you know, in reaching out to the young, the poor. Your programs are really all-encompassing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with what you're doing. I always believe that excellence transforms life. And with, you know, when I work with amateur choirs, when I work with secondary schools or neighborhood schools, they don't have privilege of doing, you know, formal music. And what changed them is when they touch excellence. So you may not have big programs or big repertoire, but if you give them a chance of reaching that excellence, the white zone, the magical realm, and I think that will be very powerful.
I see. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now let's move on. Now let's go to the Q&A session. This is from Sabam Hutajulu. So amazing that you can conduct musicians or choir without formal music education. So how do you lead them? You are supposed to be able to read scores, right? Kindly tell us the secrets of conducting by ear. How do you connect with them? I also don't read scores.
Okay, so I learned to read scores. Remember I talked about the hours that I sat on my bed trying to read scores from cover to cover. So I had no music background, but I learned to read. I learned to figure out what it is. And I think solfege really helps me because I think music theory is very logical. It's very numerical, right? It's a lot of numbers. So we need to read scores because without reading, we can't imagine what the composer put on the page. And therefore, I would even teach my singers to read. So I would come up with a system where we rehearse by reading. Remember, we talked about pulsing. I developed this style of pulsing where they are all involved in reading the music together. And so the discipline is really important. I think there's definitely an important part of listening by ear. Some people learn very intuitively, some people learn very visually, some learns orally. So we have different modes of learning, and we need to make sure that everyone grow in all these different modes.
I see. Were there any books that maybe you would suggest to this person, or how did you start off with?
I think I'm quite unorthodox. Simply because from my own background, I did not have the formal classical training. So what makes sense to me will likely make sense to people who have no music background.
Ah,
So I come from probably a different angle of how I perceive music, quite
I
differently from
see.
someone who is doing music all his life. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I see. Okay. Okay. Another question. Our church recently started a choir, but due to pandemic, we are unable to meet physically for practice. Any idea how to go about it? Like, how should we do our practice?
Yes, my choirs couldn't meet as well, and we had to do we had to do Zoom learning, which is really a very diluted version of what choral singing is, because choral singing basically you're in the same room vibrating the air together. And this COVID, it just doesn't allow us to do that. So
Yeah.
but what we could do is to actually build the foundation, because let's say we are to do 10 things together, in a real time. I think Zoom can probably take care of one or two things, the foundation. So it kind of built bite size. So I use Zoom to teach them pulsing, teach them solfege, so that they can find the pitch, from do. You want to find the third note, do, re, mi, and those are the things that I can do on Zoom. But choral singing per se, no, that's no platform that allows us to do that yet.
I see. So do you try to come up with anything, or it's just you're
So
just
we read scores together, we learn it together. So it can be more stressful for people because they have to sing one by one instead
yeah.
of singing, as a whole choir. You can
Yeah.
cover for each other. So in Zoom, they have to be so much more absolutely sure. And
Yeah.
so the mode of learning is different. We scale down. So probably, in the past, maybe we do 20 songs. Now we can only do one song, two songs.
Oh yeah.
Everything is so scaled down. But everyone really needs to know exactly what is a pulse. So on Zoom, I make them pulse like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I know that they actually understand what they're thinking. Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah.
sometimes because of the lag of the Zoom, then the sound and the visuals are not together. Then I
Yeah.
will make them knock on the table, 3 and 4. Then they will sing, and then I know that they are together with their pulse. Yeah.
I see. I see. Okay. This is done. One from Fanny Leong. So what is the biggest challenge you have when you take on a new school choir?
The biggest challenge is for them to understand my expectation, and for them to know that they can be great. Yeah. So and it takes time. So touching excellence is very life transforming for my choirs, because once they understand what excellence is, then they understand all the hard work will be worth it. But arriving at that point is a tough journey. So always a breakthrough. Always aim for a breakthrough. Any new choirs, they need to understand that the music that God has created has such
Yeah.
strong power in it. Yeah. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Then another question. What is your opinion on non-classical singing? For example, pop music, musical theater, etc. How do you suggest such people to pursue that?
All good music has the similarity when they are in the zone. When I listen to a pop song, if it's a really well performed song, I will start moving to it. It has an impact on me. It is, so that means that music is really, really good. They are really together. There is something beyond the note and beyond the rhythm and beyond just the instrument. So that's what I mean by, so all the good performers out there, whether it's in Broadway musical or in pop genre, these elements of it is always the same. Yeah. So when it comes into the zone, the rhythm, the togetherness, the volume, the balance, everything is there. So for example, like Michael Jackson is known for his anality, his craziness. He want to get one sound correct.
Ah.
He will go and research. You know, he want the sound. Timpani play not correct. Then he will throw something on the timpani to see whether that's the sound that he's imagining. And so I think that spirit of excellence is really, you know, is the very thing that will bring music to the highest level. Um,
I
so
see.
so answering the question, yes, pop music, everything is the same. Good music is good music. I think um, pop music can also be composed very well, and as a performer to perform it, there are many good examples out there that you know
Yes,
when you listen to someone and you start moving, you get into a zone. That those are the very top class musicians.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes. So what would you say about the singing technique?
The
Like,
singing techniques are very
yeah.
different because you don't need to belt it out in a theater without microphone,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? So you could do a lot of things where classical singing is not allowed because classical singing you need to amplify the sound before thousands of people can hear you. But
Mm-hmm.
today you have the technology, you
Mm-hmm.
can whisper into a microphone and millions of people can hear you, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
it's so that change what is allowed and what is not allowed. But you are trying to use a different sound and different techniques to convey emotions. So classical and pop is very different in that aspect. But I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
say what is right, what is wrong. It's just the context is very different. Where do you sing it? So if you ask a pop singer to sing in a theater without microphone, then
Yeah.
definitely it will be flat. You know, it can't be heard, can't be projected.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a question for you. So it's about the your arrangement from the O Come In manual.
Uh-huh.
Yes. We will be watching. Hold on. A video of it. Yeah. This one. Yes. So I'm curious, is this a performance in
Yes, it's a performance in Europe, a competition in winter as well.
ah
And the boy that you heard at the end of the high G sharp,
yeah.
after that performance, his voice never reached that G sharp again. And his voice changed immediately after the trip. And we were so thankful. He's one of my
Wow.
best soprano. Um, so maybe I will share the score. Just look at the page where
Yeah,
the music started.
sure.
Can you see this? Can you see
Yes,
my
yes,
screen?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I can see
So
it.
you see that there was a drone here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a drone and then there's overtone singing, and then the altos came in with a melody, the tenors, and the
Yeah.
sopranos came in with a melody but at a different higher notes,
Ah,
and
yeah.
then the bass. Yeah, so they actually singing the same melody but in different keys, and it looks so simple on the score, but actually is very challenging for the singers to stay in tune. It's like you're trying to sing
Oh,
Happy Birthday in different keys
yeah.
all at the same time. Yeah. And so, and then after this, then they went into a G major rejoice. It's like, yay, we all come back together, you know? And
Yeah.
yeah. So at the end, it did the same thing. This is called aleatory chance music, where every singer take a different tempo and they kind of start at different time as well. And so at the end, it's the same thing. It created a sense of chaos, a darkness, because this is talking about people, you know, living in sin, and then we're asking, you know, the Savior to come. And then there's this shaft of light that came in with the G sharp that changes the E minor chord into E major. Yeah. So this is kind of a ray of hope at the end. Yeah. So this piece was first. It was first written for another choir, and it was premiered in Vienna, and it's perfect for acoustics like the cathedral, where it allows the sounds to kind of settle down slowly, and the European audience love it. Very, very good. And yeah,
I see.
it's not difficult to learn. It's difficult to get into the zone, the right zone, you know, where you get the right aleatory, you get the right tapering off, and yeah. But the notes are not difficult.
I see. Okay, there's one last question from the Q&A. So is there a specific way you choose a certain music for your choir to perform or maybe to compete? Like the difficulty level and what the choir can learn from?
Definitely when you choose a repertoire, you have to think about the ability of the singers, the vocal range that they can accomplish. Like at the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about how they can achieve excellence, right? So you don't throw them a song that they cannot reach. You cannot throw them a song that is too boring for them. Say, for example, if I train my neighborhood choir to sing Renaissance piece, and it took them a long time to get into the style, but do you know that after that, when I poll them at the end of the year, the song, their favorite song always is the Renaissance piece. It's shocking for someone who has never learned music, or never done all this kind of study. I mean, Renaissance music is really studied only in graduate school, you know, in university. But there is this magic around it, and they understand that it's so beautiful. And at the end, if I throw them a pop song, they were like, "Ee, so boring," you know. Then I would laugh at them and say, "Oh, so snobbish," you know. Okay, so that's about the developments of a choir. That once they achieve something excellent, they want more. They want more sophisticated music. But when I plan for competition, I definitely will plan for contrast. Definitely, you want to show. I like to show that I can do European style. But I also like to show the European judges that I can do my Asian style that they cannot do. You do what they can do, and then you show them they cannot do what you do. So, so that is always my trick in my programming for competition.
I see. Okay, actually, there's one more person. He's asking where can I get or buy some of the scores which you have arranged.
So if they are published, I think I've only published 2 pieces so far, Rasa Sayang and Lok Sui Tien, and the rest of it you can write to me directly. Yes.
I see.
Yes, you can either Facebook me or you can email me.
Okay.
Thank you for your interest.
I think that is all our questions. That is the last question. Okay, so we have come to the end of the broadcast. So on behalf of JPO, we would like to thank you, Mr. Ban Sheng, and thank everyone for dedicating your time and energy into this interview despite the pandemic that is happening right now. We would also like to thank everyone who has attended and supported this program. You guys have been great. I hope you guys got the answers you wanted. This broadcast will be on every Wednesday and Sunday night at the same time until further notice. So now I will end with prayer. Please pray in whatever faith you believe in for the COVID-19. Dear Lord, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come together, continue running this program at a moment like this. I want to pray for the nurse and doctors from around the world who has been constantly treating patients with COVID-19, and I hope people who are diagnosed with COVID-19 will get better soon. Lastly, I pray for our safety and health, and may the future there be peace within. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so
Okay.
much for hosting this, Yap Chin. Very
Thank you.
nice.
We're very honored. We're
Thank
very
you.
thankful to have you as our guest speaker. Okay, so good night to you and maybe to the other listeners, or have a good day. See you guys next time. Bye.
Goodbye.